Here in the Beirut neighborhood of IRGC, rescue workers have been searching overnight for any bodies in this building. This building behind me is one of dozens in the heart of the Lebanese capital struck by Israel yesterday. These strikes rocked the entire country. They came without warning in midday, and people are absolutely horrified with what could come next. People are horrified because there are still people missing. You can see family members and residents here waiting to see if they can find their missing relatives and loved ones. There's a father up there with the rescue workers searching for his 23-year-old daughter. Now, rescue workers have told us there have been miraculous cases of elderly people being pulled alive, including a 92-year-old man. However, most of the people they're finding have been killed. Now, there's also been displaced people sheltering in these buildings in central Beirut, and a lot of them said that they felt coming here right by the Mediterranean Sea on some of the busiest junctures in the capital and near universities would keep them safe from the fighting. But they found themselves also struck in airstrikes. And for people here who for over a month felt that they might be okay and spared from the fighting, they feel that nowhere is safe anymore in the capital.
Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield.
Here in Washington, President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have been triumphant speaking about the ceasefire deal. Vice President J.D. Vance has been a bit more measured, calling it a fragile agreement, but it's still unclear what exactly the U.S. agreed to. There are large questions that remain about the free flow of traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, and President Trump's claims that the U.S. will help Iran dig out its buried enriched uranium. There are already concerns on Capitol Hill that the U.S. does get that material out of Iran.
Hardline voices within Iran are insisting that they have seized victory in the war with Israel and the United States. And that's in part because they now control the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow mouth of the Persian Gulf through which about 20% of all natural gas and oil traded passes in peacetime. Now, Iran has been able to charge some vessels reportedly as much as $2 million to leave the Persian Gulf during the war, and they are planning to try to institute a toll booth system that would upend decades of the strait being open for international traffic. They're also insisting that even though Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed by Israel at the start of the war, they've now replaced him with a younger, more hardline version in his son Moshtaba.
At the outset of this war, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talked about removing the threat of Iran's ballistic missiles. He talked of destroying its nuclear program and ending its support for hostile proxy groups. Netanyahu and President Trump even raised the idea of regime change in Iran. Well, none of these goals appears to have been achieved. And in the case of the proxies, Israel is now locked in heavy fighting with Hezbollah militants in southern Lebanon and looking at an open-ended military occupation of the southern part of that country.